Put a piece of paper over it and see what happens to the airflow. So some of the mobile home ducts are very prone to, well, most all mobile home ducts are prone to leakage. Diagnosing and repairing duct leakage is the single most cost-effective measure you can apply to mobile homes. Again, 30 to 40% of the air leakage usually comes from the mobile home ducts. Effective duct sealing is possible through the use of innovative duct sealing materials and other duct improvements measures such as removing obstructions and system balancing that can improve comfort and lower fuel bills. That's right there would be the improved comfort. Whenever you improve somebody's comfort, they end up turning the valve or thermostat down. So the mobile home belly retrofit, we are still doing insulating some of the bellies. We're not probably getting as much insulation in them as possible, so it's going to be real important to make sure that we get everything sealed up down underneath here. And this is your typical mobile home. You got all kind of crap in your way. So some of the benefits of insulating the belly cavity, important factors to consider prior to insulating. Mobile home floor components, belly preparation methods, specialized tools and materials for sealing up the belly cavity, and then methods for gaining access to the belly cavity, and then insulating methods and techniques. So some of the mobile home belly components, you got your main beam, which that's usually where you bang your head, your outrigger beam. Okay, this is where we want to get some of that packed in. And then your rodent barrier, which is what we need to pay a lot of attention to because usually it's all tore up. And then your floor joist. And we've even got the floor joist, which is even, or we've got the duct hanging underneath. That's why the belly's down like that. Re-insulating the belly cavity. It increases the thermal performance and occupant comfort is enhanced. I don't know where this picture comes from, but it's the first mobile home I ever seen that had an outside entrance door, a Velcro door like that. I don't know if that's got a basement under it or a growing plant. In a nutshell, belly blow involves sealing and repairing the duct system. You want to do that first, and you want to make sure that that's done. Run a few of those tests before you go insulating, just like the attic. You don't want to have to get up in there and start digging around up underneath that belly, cutting holes in it and having fiberglass falling back down in your face. Repairing minor plumbing leaks. Repair, sealing, and reinforcing the rodent barrier. Sealing the penetrations from the belly to conditioned space. And locating combustion air outlets. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but if you have most generally on your older mobile homes, with the older mobile home furnaces, they was taking combustion air from underneath the mobile home. But if you have a gas-fired mobile home water heater, it will have a 3-inch tube coming down through the belly underneath the mobile home. So you want to make sure to locate that, not to get anything around it or plug it up. Accessing and drilling the rim joists in some cases. And again, these are some different ways of doing it. Not everybody's going to be doing it this way, but it may help you out down the road. Insulating the belly with loose fill insulation. Some of the factors considered: insufficient clearance, most generally always. Significant plumbing leaks. I had a customer call me up when I'm in my private business. I said the furnace wasn't working. I got out there, and when I looked down in the register, the ductwork was clear full of water. You can't blow air through water. So I told him the only thing I could do right now was I took a screwdriver, poked a couple of holes in the ductwork. Said when the water's out, call a plumber. Structural problems. Again, you want to make sure, most of the times when you walk through the front door or the back door, your foot goes through the floor. You want to be able to fix that up before you insulate. Standing water or open sewage down underneath, you don't want to be crawling around in there. Have somebody take care of it ahead of time. Yeah, in my days, we crawled around in it. Major obstructions, lawnmowers, dogs, cats, rats, mice, snakes. Electrical hazards, again, you want to make sure those are fixed before the crews get down underneath there. Note that health and safety of workers and the long-term integrity of the client's home should be the main concerns, and that's one of the things is the worker safety. Water problems. We had one mobile home up in the city of Zanesville, out the outskirts, had a creek running underneath of it. Insufficient clearance. Well, that's when they shoved little people like me up there. So if you're a little feller, you're getting shoved up underneath the insufficient clearances. Talking to Ryan before this started, he said something about a lot of their mobile homes had wood burners in it, and this is usually what they come across right here. Just usually it's a piece of plywood here, that way it'll catch on fire first. Yeah, there's unsafe conditions. You want to take care of stuff like that, and underneath. Consideration before insulating: the auditor should know duct location and condition. Okay, and then the return air system. Is it a belly return? If it is, it's going to have a little bit more work to do. Is it a central return? Joist spacing and direction. That way we know what way the joists are going. How much belly repair is required? That way we got plenty of material to take with us. Minor repairable plumbing leaks. Again, we got some of that enhanced money to be able to take care of a few things like that. Air leakage penetrations. Make sure we got material to take care of that stuff so that we keep right on working. Uh, the Joist Direction Duct Risers, I'll get it right, offer clues about the way the joist direction is. You got this one here would be lengthwise, and this one here would be crosswise. And you see how this one is much closer. This is right here would be our joist, and our duct is right up against it. And this one here is down below the joist. So we got a bigger riser, and that's where we have a lot more problems. Belly prep, install ground vapor retarder, in other words, plastic. And one of the things that's been a kind of a controversy down the road is installing a vapor barrier. If it has skirting, you will install a vapor barrier. And if it does not have any skirting whatsoever, you don't have to put a vapor barrier because you're not going to be able to hold it down there. Or at least that's the last I knew. Vent the clothes dryer to daylight. One of the things you probably noticed on most of them, they just throw the hose down underneath, get all that moisture. And that's usually what happens at the bottom of the belly, to get all that moisture, all that lint. Seal the ducts before you do it. Protect the water lines. One of the things we found out in the beginning when we did the mobile home study is if we didn't get that insulation or the water lines back next to the ductwork and insulated, then water lines froze. Seal all penetrations in the living space. Repair and reinforce the belly rodent barrier. And one of the things a lot of people forget to do on that when they're putting that repairing the belly is to use that out clench stapler to help mechanically fasten so it'll stay there a little bit longer. Drill holes in the band joist are accessed from underneath. And I think I got a couple of slides here that shows you that. Here's some of the things that we actually use some 1x to help support. Got our nice vapor barrier down. We've actually got in there and sealed the ductwork, and then we'll patch our belly here before we get in there to insulate. Selected patching materials. You can use the house wrap or flex bend, which is the natural belly patch. Foil back insulation board. You can use some lath strips to secure it up. Drywall screws with deck washers. Aluminum coil stock, foam sealant, bubble foil, spray adhesive, stitch, and regular staples. I think most people use this here because it's got a it's already sticky. And if you're using that, stick it up there and make sure you use that. I recommend the out clench stapler. That way it out clenches and holds it up there and keeps it from falling down for a little while. This spray adhesive, it's actually pretty good to help keep that stuff up there too. And it also helps if you got to overlap your plastic, you spray that plastic on both sides and let it dry for about 3 or 4 minutes and then stick it together. It will not come apart. There's where you staple it up. Get the flexible sheet materials may be used to repair small holes or shore up weak areas. Looks like he's ready to go with that staple gun. He stapled that guy right there on the head. All right, and then we're going to replace a reinforced belly with a variety of materials. They're using the insulating board. And here they're using the lath to go ahead and screw up to hold that belly paper up. And depending on how much insulation you're going to put in there, you want to make sure that your belly is going to be able to hold it, just like a ceiling. You know, if you put too much cellulose on a weak ceiling, the ceiling is going to drop. Sometimes we have to actually replace the rodent barrier. So you want to remove the remains of the old rodent barrier and damage the insulation. Fasten the house wrap between the center of I-beams with staples along the length of the home. And this is an intense job. Fasten the house wrap between the center I-beams with staples along the length of the home. Fit the sheeting around penetrations and seal. In other words, if you got to go around something, make sure you seal it up. Repeat the process from the edge, and then reinforce with latch strips or plumbing strap screwed to the bottom of the flooring joist. I've found, I mean, you can use the metal plumbing strap or the plastic plumbing strap. It works a little bit easier when you're down in some of these areas like that instead of the one by or the left. Again, you know, you want to seal around these plumbing penetrations pretty good. Get it sealed up and then reinforce the belly. They went to a little bit more extreme right there, but it's not too bad. Take care not to seal any combustion air inlets. This is some of the older mobile homes had a square duct that was right inside the door where the mobile home furnace was, and it went down through the belly, taking air from underneath for combustion for the furnace. And I do believe here I've got an example of above here would be your gas water heater, and this is that 3-inch tube that comes down, and you see it's clearly marked. Well, you can't see on here, but I've had a hard time finding a clear picture of one of these. So if anybody has one, when you're out there working, you got to get a clear picture, send me one. But this is what it looks like. Combustion air is sucked up through here to the bottom of the water heater. So you want to make sure you seal around there and don't seal none of that right there, and be careful of that. Seal plumbing penetrations. A lot of times we don't want to look behind the washer, but hey, get behind there. You're going to always tell all the students we have, if you don't want to look for trouble, you ain't going to find it. If you look for it, you're going to find it. And from the belly cavity, again, where the mobile home, this is the gas water heater, gas pipe coming up through. You need to seal around there. The plumbing penetration, dryer vents, sink cabinets, built-in dressers, and hot water tank closets. So insulating the belly, here's some of the stuff that you need. You need a multi-fiber, high-capacity blowing machine, which I think everybody's using, sort of something like that. 100 feet of insulation hose in a variety of diameters. And this is, I don't know if people really realize this, but this 100 feet, when I was insulating, we had 100 to 150 feet of hose. And the more hose you had, the more it broke that material up, and you had less blockage. Need about 70 feet of low grade 2-inch ABS pipe. You can use a 2-inch, well, a variety of sizes, ABS pipe or Carlon. Do not use PVC pipe. Fiberglass, some plugs, if you're going to do the rim joist part, duct tape, clamps for the hoses and sections, and scrap fiberglass. And I actually need to take a quick break, so let's do about a 10-minute, and I'll get right back to you. I'd said 15, but we'll do 15. Hang on there. had to phone call my doctor. They're trying to set that telehealth up. I'd much rather talk to them on the computer than be in the doctor's office.
I totally understand that right now.
Got any questions in there yet?
Really only question we had there was from Mike, and he said, shouldn't that house wrap be water permeable, especially under the tubs and stuff like that? So
Yeah.
And I had a question there, and I actually put the answer in chat. We actually have a YouTube channel there now that we're trying to work on getting all these videos uploaded to and stuff. And as soon as we do that there, we'll give you guys the link there where you can access that and everything. So it is something that we actually are working on right now. So
Yeah.
this will be a resource for you there going forward and everything else.
If you remind me, Jamie, give them a couple of, we'll give them that Dan floss and that Beckett thing.
Yeah.
That way they can have some more stuff to be looking at down the road.
Yeah. Kim Bond actually had a question. He wants to know what the lowest outside temperature for installing a roof coat is. I believe like that cool seal there and stuff there, they don't want it to get below 55 degrees for 24 hours. Isn't that correct, Jim?
Yeah, it's pretty close. I'd recommend, depending on what brand they get, to make sure that they read the instructions on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because whatever it is, they do have some different brands out there and stuff. So just make sure you follow the directions on that there when you're installing it.
Because if I'm not mistaken, we're not allowed to use the aluminum roof coat anymore, right?
It's my understanding that we're not. So it would be that elastomeric sealant there, like that Cool Seal or another brand name there like that. So.
Right. And the problem, the most times that when that fails is because we don't clean the roof off. I mean, I know that's kind of a hassle, but you know, you get up there with a broom or something and try to get as much dirt off of it as you can, and it'll seal. That's some really, really good stuff if it's put on right.
Yeah, they want it clean, and they want to make sure that it's dry before you're applying the sealant. So,
and believe it or not, that white coating does reflect heat. It makes a big difference. All right. Here's the rim joist method. And again, these are different methods. I ain't telling you have to do this way. You can do it any way you want. This would be a good way to access some of the stuff because there's not enough room down underneath the tray, the mobile home itself. Sometimes, hey, you got to do a little extra work to keep them because there ain't enough room underneath. Determine the joist direction to drill either the ends or the side. This method works when the home is too close to the ground. We've done it sort of both ways. Again, in weatherization, we sometimes have to come up with methods. It's just out of this world. Here's some of the stuff. Oh, wait a minute, this must be stake workers. We got one guy working and a whole bunch watching. Piece of pipe, that's an actual piece of Carlon. That's electrical Carlon conduit. It's a little bit more expensive, but you won't get no static whatsoever out of it. Again, putting the pipe hose into the pipe and just duct taping it on. You don't have to really put any mechanical fasteners on cut the end of it like 45 or just an angle so that way you can get it to go in there a little better. One of the things you want to realize, well, what we realized when we did the mobile home study, and actually it happened on my trailer. We had one of the trainers up there insulating the attic with a piece of pipe, I'll put it that way. We heard a big crack, and when we come back around to the back part of the trailer, she was laying on the ground from the static discharge that blew the end of a 10,000 volt lineman's glove off. So yeah, be careful with material that you use. Never use PVC ever. Again, you get in there, drill your holes, fill her up. The problem with since we're doing the MIA audit now, we're not probably putting as many bags in, so we're going to have to be careful about how much, you're going to have to really figure out how much you can do on each one so you can get coverage over all of it. I know that's kind of hard to do, but hey, you want to do it, just shove it all the way down to one end. Here's the side blow. See, these guys are having fun. Fiberglass, lighter in weight by volume than cellulose. Certain types installed better than other in closed cavities. Low moisture retention at 5%, and price is fairly competitive with cellulose. That's not really true. Fiberglass insulation is a little bit more than cellulose. Personal respiratory protection is required. Make sure you got a mask on when you're running with this stuff. When it comes to cellulose, you don't want to ever put any cellulose on anything that's going to be in contact with metal. That's why we don't put cellulose in it. Open the product gate for optimal material feed, and then adjust the air pressure. I'm pretty sure most everybody has been out there doing it for a while. You got this stuff figured out. And again, if it was in, if we could do it in a laboratory area, nice and clean, but most generally we got all kind of stuff on our way, so this ain't never going to happen. But pretty much you're getting access doing this camp or outrigger part first. You can do that, and then you can separate and fill the rest of the belly in as you go, and make sure you get it even coverage. Cut some small triangular holes in each joist cavity at the outriggers, and then the center of the I-beams. And you can see how messy the stuff is. Make sure you got some eye protections. At the outrigger, center the hole between the outer rim joist and the I-beam, and then blow in each direction until full. And in most cases with us now, we're just going to blow in and disperse it out evenly. Works best on crosswise joist configurations or where siding cannot be neatly removed or exposed for the rim joist. So again, you could drill the rim joist, or you go underneath, depends on clearance. Seems like you've got quite a bit of clearance there to be able to do that. Yeah, the disadvantage is that you're on your back. Overall benefits, definitely increased comfort, significant heat loss reductions through reduced air leakage and improved R value. If you've noticed, most of the time you reach up in that belly, it's not more than 3, maybe 4 inches of insulation. Increased seasonal heating efficiency due to duct system improvements, which is a real good advantage. And then clients love it. So again, re-insulate the belly cavity can result in huge energy savings and cost effective and greatly improves comfort. Consider moisture issues and condition of the floor, the rodent barrier before insulating the belly. Make sure you get all that taken care of. Prepare by sealing penetrations to the living space and repairing the rodent barrier. It'd be the same as, the attic ceiling or the ceiling had a hole or something, and you'd have to repair it. And again, the access methods depend on the joist configuration, clearance underneath, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Blown in fiberglass is recommended because it's lighter than cellulose and won't absorb water. Weatherization methods developed over the years help technicians overcome hurdles that were once thought impossible. I know back in the 80s when we was doing mobile homes, we wasn't nowhere close to what we're doing now. And we didn't save nearly as much energy. Attention to detail avoids problems. Having the right tools and materials in hands helps techniques deal with a variety of special circumstances. I've always been one, I always spend a little extra money on the right tools because down the road, it made the job go quicker in less time. So the mobile home roof retrofits, we're probably not doing as many of them as we used to now, which is kind of a shame. Because once we insulated that mobile home ceiling, it saved a lot of energy, but for some reason the audit, it's so labor intensive. But we'll show you a couple of ways to do it, and if you do it, it could be done more efficient. The cost effectiveness is re-insulate the mobile home roof cavities. We'll show you some mobile home roof components, how to get ready for it, how to insulate, special tools and materials, and a variety of methods for accessing and insulating mobile home roof cavities and the roof surface finishing.
Yeah, and Jim, we had a question going back to that first picture there where I had that roof vent on that mobile home. And that was Mike. He wanted to know, wasn't that leak there on the mobile home roof and everything? Yes, Mike, you do not want to use a roof vent there on that. You just use a smooth, flat patch on there, metal patch, and cover it with peel and seal and everything. So if you do that, we've never had any problems. We've done all kinds of mobile home classes on the road and stuff. Never had any problems doing that method there with any roof leaks that we ever heard back from or anything. So,
yeah, I kind of forgot why I kept that slide in there. That was actually it was in Lancaster, Ohio, on one of our infields. I'm not going to say who it was, but he decided to seal the hole with a roof vent, and I kindly almost throwed him off the roof. But yeah, you don't want to put no roof vents up there. Put your patch on and use the proper material, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But re-insulating the roof cavities on pre-76 mobile homes may be cost effective according to Mia. And again, it's going to come down to if the inspector accesses that ceiling, which it's not always easy to do, but get you an inconspicuous spot. And I usually end up picking on wherever the water heater is, or where the furnace is, and drill a hole up in there and get your hand up in there and see how much insulation's up there. If it's 2 inches or less, which is a lot of times it is, you're probably going to be able to do a little bit of insulating. I lived in a double wide in Trumbull, Ohio, and I ended up drilling a hole and it had exactly 1/2 inch of cellulose in it. I ended up packing the slopes and took my electric bill to cut it down by $200 a month. Increased thermal performance, provides heating, cooling savings, reduced roof rumble. I couldn't find a picture of the mobile home I wanted that had the automobile tires laying on top of it. That's what they was doing. They was putting that up there because when the wind blew, that roof would vibrate. When we insulated, it won't do that. That right there would make a very happy client. It says fairly easy to do, which is a false statement. It's not fairly easy to do, but if you have the right tools and the equipment, it's a lot easier to do. I'll show you that here in a little bit. Does not affect the air leakage rate as directly as a belly retrofit, which is true. Sometimes we may just have to walk away, unless this is a skylight. But again, this is showing you. This is an example of a bow string. And then this is our board that's running down the middle there. You can see what they call the strong backs. This is where we get in trouble trying to get around them. But usually you've got your ceiling, and there's usually a plastic vapor barrier there, and depending on the mobile home, anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of insulation. This is basically called the bowstring right here. Now, when we did a mobile home study, we went from the end and did half the mobile home and then went to the other end and did half the mobile home. But what we found out was we wasn't able to get the edges packed in there enough, so we ended up getting moisture, and it looked like a roof leak on the inside. 90% of the stains you see right here is not usually caused from a roof leak. It's caused from the heated air that's escaping up through, hitting the metal roof, and then bouncing back down with moisture. If you ever notice those mobile homes, you go in and around the edge of the mobile home, on the outside edge, all the way around the mobile home, it's got some, look like leaking. It's not really a roof leak. But you do want to check inside, make sure things are fixed. You want to look and seal around the mobile home vent pipe. Usually that's in really bad shape. Now's a good time to replace the defective bath fan. Get in there and get it fixed out. Get it back up in there before you insulate. Yeah, you might want to fix that light fixture there too. Hey, Damon, could we put a little foam around there?
Yeah, unfortunately, we've seen that before, haven't we? So
Yeah. Yeah, you just want to just screw her back up the way it should be. All right, and this is one of the things, the side lift, which is, a lot of people say, well, you know, it's a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of work off of ladders. The scaffolding is a little bit extra money in equipment, but by having $2 of scaffolding, by the time they get done with this, they're not going up and down the ladder. They can work and access it a lot easier, and by the time they get done, they hand off the hose to these guys. That's what they're waiting for. They're not just watching, or are they? They're going to start insulating over here. They'll start putting it back here, and within a half day, you can have that whole side done. I've done it on the ladder, and I've done it off of scaffolding, and scaffolding will make your job much easier. And if I come out and catch you sitting on a ladder on top of the scaffolding like that, I'm probably going to kick you off. Not very good. So the edge lift, got some special tools. You need a section of 12-foot long, 2-inch diameter ABS pipe, some scrap 2x4 lumber, some self-tapping 1/2-inch hex head screws. Because once you take that gutter off, a lot of them screws, they ain't gonna go back. Some 1.5-inch roofing nails to be able to nail that roofing back down before you put the, because you're gonna be pulling them staples out. Yeah, you want to put some roofing nails and nail it back down before you put the aluminum gutter on. And you might need some lengths of aluminum gutter because you may tear up some of it as you go. Make sure you have that putty tape to put back on the back of that gutter. That way you won't have any problems with leakage. And some approved caulk, polymer caulk, and elastomeric roof coating. Here's some of the stuff. We're actually, you can move the old gutter from the roof edge. Usually that gutter is screwed on with some hex edge. You're going to do a little bit of digging, clean the screws off. That's why we go ahead and get some extra screws, because some of them may not come all the way out, rust it off. Once you take that gutter off, all of them stapled in. You can see the staple here. We're going to need some type of a little pry bar to be able to get them out. The old hog nose pliers, the old fencing pliers was good. I've tried to find a picture of them, couldn't find it. But then once you get them out, that's what your roofing nails, you're gonna be able to put them back in. But make sure you don't put the roofing nails back in the hole where the gutter come off, because you should be able to line them right back up. It's a lot better if you can line the screws that were originally there back up. Don't always happen. Pull back, loosen it up a little bit, pull it back. You can see this little thin piece of insulation there. Here's your vapor barrier. Okay, you see this is where that putty tape's gonna go back. And then once you put the gutter on, you're going to put the putty tape on the gutter. You want to make sure that you clean this off. Don't try to put the putty tape over the old putty tape. And again, this is, it takes a little bit of work, but if it's done right, I know people are worried about roofs leaking, but if you do it right, clean it up, put the stuff back right, it's going to be just like factory. It didn't leak from the factory, and it ain't going to leak if you put it back right. Here's that piece of plastic there. And this piece here is just up there, keep it a little bit of that from rumbling, and then you got your insulation underneath there. That's what the scrap 2x4 is for. You see it's right there. It's going to hold up that roof while you're insulating, and that way you're not bending the edge of the roof. And again, ABS pipe or the electrical car line pipe. Again, the ABS pipe works well. It still gets a little bit of static, not as much as the PVC. The car line almost has no static in it, but it costs just a little bit more, but I'd rather not get shocked. Believe me, we got shocked. And again, it's talking about taping it on there, cutting the edge, adjusting the blower. And then you can see here, they're actually pushing that through there. You can see how we used the 2x4s to hold that up. And again, with the $2 of scaffolding, you can see it's that's 1, 2, 3. You're getting pretty close to 10 foot of roof at a time. You got $2 of scaffolding, you can run down the side of a roof real quick. Okay, so you're just going to shove it through until it makes contact with the opposite wall, and then pull back 4 to 6 inches at a time. Don't overdo it. You don't want to get too much in there, you won't be able to get the roof back down. And again, try not to put the ladder up there. He keeps his hands back from the edge for safety equipment. Once he gets this pulled out, you want to make sure you don't get too much filled in right here, or you'll not be able to get that roof back down to what it should be. Here they're going ahead and tying it back in, putting the gutter back on, screwing things back in. Here's that putty tape. You want to apply it right on there so you can make sure you get your gutter back on there. And they do make 2 types of gutters. They got the small size and a little bit bigger size. Here's your roof coating, an elastomeric roof coating. Seal the edges, seam with elastomeric roof coating. And again, you're going to want to read the manufacturer's instructions on that. You can't put it on when it's raining. You can't put it on when it's wet. Got to make sure things are clean. And it has a certain temperature that if it's below a certain temperature, you can't put it on. And that's where we make a few mistakes by trying to, cut corners. And down the road, it comes back to bite us in the butt. So again, check the integrity of the ceiling, seal all interior leaks. Hang on a minute, I have to close my door, get somebody weedy. Nah. Actually, they're working next door. Sorry about the noise. Can you hear that noise, Jamie? Check the
Guess
general.
I need to take myself off mute there. Yeah, just barely, Jim. It's not. It's
Okay, you're fine now.
All right. Check the general condition of the roof surfaces. This is something the inspector is going to be doing, but you know, the crew people, when they get out there, should go ahead and do a double check. Select the side of the home with at least 15 foot of horizontal clearance, and that ain't always the case. You can't always do it. So, you know, we're going to give you another method here that you can use. Scaffolding. Ladders work, but it's a lot more work and takes a lot more time. Remove all screws, roof gutter, staples from the roof. Make sure to try not to drop the staples in the yard. Raise and block up the roof 2 inches. In other words, use them 2x4s to hold that up. You don't want to get much more than 2x4 in there because you'll kink the roof. Fill, but don't overfill. Push the roof cap down over the siding and nail. That's where you use those roofing nails into the top plate. Try not to put the nails in the screw holes where you took the gutter out. Most generally, you can put that old gutter back, and they don't usually get too tore up. But make sure you got a couple pieces on hand just in case. Close up by applying putty tape backside of the new gutter, and then reinstall with new hex edge screws. And we're saying new hex edge screws because that way, you know, hey, let's try to make sure we don't have any callbacks. And then seal the roof edges and seams with elastomeric roof coating. Me and my English today. So this would be the top fill method. And I know everybody's kind of leery of doing this because everybody's worried about roof leaks. Once again, if things are done properly and with care, and if you do it the way we're going to show you here how to do it, I've never had a mobile home roof leak at where I did the roof. Cut. And we just made a little template. You mark out 4 to 5 evenly spaced holes down the roof center line. First hole should be 6 to 8 feet from the end. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to clean all the way around. And if you don't get this clean, that's where you're not going to get a good seal. You're not going to, and that's where you're going to have roof leaks. But you notice that we cut it right in the middle of this ceiling joist here. That way we can go down 2 sides. We can insulate 2 sides at once. And again, it's kind of like the edge lift. We're going to go ahead and shove that tube down through there and put it all the way to the other end, and then start working this way back and make sure you get this end filled up pretty good.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to point out there too, Jim, if you notice the person there, they've actually got a walkboard down when they're up on that roof. Anytime you guys get up on the roof, use walkboards.
Yeah, just a simple piece of plywood, or a lot of times it's just a 1x12. You spread your weight out, you know, because remember those things holding the trusses up there. It's just actually a lot of times it's just paneling, old used paneling that they had left at the factory. So again, you got about an 8-foot fill tube. Shove her in there, get her all the way to the other side. And then what we come up with here is, once we got that, we'd come back with this little piece of tube, which is a flexible tube, to be able to insulate back down here and make sure that we got these ends filled in pretty good. And again, it's one of those trade-offs. I go ahead and insulate all that, and then I come back with this, and it takes time to put it on and do it, but I get a better job, and I make sure that I get everything sealed up right. And in the long run, it doesn't take any more time than to do it the right way.
And Jim, we had a question in there, which GH kind of answered it already there and stuff. Wanting to know what's a good product to clean a roof with. You want to talk about that, or you want me to? Whatever.
What GH put in there?
He put a heat gun and a scraper is one of the best things there to clean it with. So.
Yeah, I want to really deter anybody using a torch.
Yeah.
That the metal on that roof is not very thick. It will heat up quick, and the paper and stuff that's underneath some of these mobile homes on that top layer of insulation has a thin layer of paper that would catch fire real quick. You just got to ask me how I know. So yeah, the heat gun's the best, but you're going to have a variety of heat gun, scrapers, wire brushes. You know, some of it's going to come off fairly easy depending on how long it's been on there. Some of it you're going to be digging. And again, that's all going to have to be taken in consideration by the inspector. You know, if it's got 40 years worth of the roof coating on it, that, what am I trying to say here? The old roof coating, it ain't coming off. It's going to take a lot more time. So that, you know, time, materials, going to, you know, may be a deferral. You might not be able to do it. That's where, go ahead.
Uriah made a comment in here about the bowstrings and everything. He's actually busted them through the ceiling before. Yeah, Uriah, you've got the same problem I do. We're both pretty good sized guys. So, you know, that's where when you're doing the work planning and everything there, you might not want to send the biggest guy up on that mobile home roof. That might not be the best practice.
Well,
the more weight you get up there, the more chances you have of something going wrong. So.
And that's where the walkboard comes in handy. You can have a little bit more weight up there because it'll distribute the weight. And I worked at MEOG, the rule on a mobile home, because we coated every roof back then, was the lightest guy had to be on the roof coated. The 350-pound guy on our crew was the guy that coated every roof. And it looked like he was coming through every one of them. So yeah, got to think about that. So again, you want to bend the roof flap. Let's say bend the roof flap down. If you're going to cut that hole out, cut it completely out. Don't be cutting it and trying to bend it up because you'll have a mess. Go ahead and get your piece of galvanized metal. Use that caulking to put down around it and then put screws. And what we usually do is we try to start towards the middle and work our way zigzag back and forth until you get it. That way that piece of metal doesn't buckle up on you. And that's where you have problems when you start getting buckle. And then here they're putting down some cool seal and coating over with fiberglass mesh. Again, with the top fill method, you want to check the integrity of the ceiling and seal all interior leaks. Check the general condition of the roof surfaces. Mark out 4 to 5 evenly spaced holes down the roof center line. Cut some 10x10 square holes along 3 sides. And don't bend back the metal roofing flap. Cut it all the way out. It just works a lot better. Just cut it out, get rid of that piece of metal, get you a new one, put it on top. Insert your fill tube, get your coverage. Don't bend it back. Put a new piece of metal over top of it. Don't cause yourself a headache down the road. Back caulk the patch with a copolymer caulk. Don't use regular caulking, silicone. And attach with hex screws set every 2 inches apart. Cover with 2 coats of elastomeric roof coating over fiberglass mesh, or seal the seams and edges with the same elastomeric roof coating. And what was the name of that peel and steel stuff we was putting on that, Jamie? I can't remember. White.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about there.
Peel and steel was really good to put down and then put the coating on.
Yeah, I can't remember what the brand name of that was, Jim. It's been a while since we ordered any of that.
You put that on there, and it just wasn't coming off.
Now that you asked me that, I'll probably think about it about 3 o'clock in the morning here.
Oh, yeah, I will too. Now, this is one technique. I don't, some people don't like to do. I've done it on these cathedral ceiling types. You could cut the holes in like we did with the others, or you could just take the top centerpiece off. You can cut down through her. Some of them have that ridge cap like that. Some of them don't. They're just bent over. You can cut it down through. And it works a lot better. But again, you could also cut the holes in and do the same thing. One of the things with some of these, it depends on how much that cathedral ceiling, how much room was in there. You could actually access it from the end through a gable vent. You could actually cut a hole in there and access it that way. Now, I'm kind of like talking with Ryan this morning. They got a lot of mobile homes. If they had to do roof, if they had to insulate the roof, here's one method to do from the inside. Not everybody likes this, but there are a lot of agencies out there that are predominantly mobile homes, so they need to be able to work in the wintertime. So if you have to insulate it, this is one way it can be done, but you're gonna have to, really take your time and do it right. You may have to put some furring strips up to help hold the ceiling, depending on how bad the ceiling is. You drill 3-inch hole at 16 inches on center with a hole saw. Space the holes about 3 feet apart. Keep the holes 2 feet from the edge, and then space the holes evenly. Cover the furniture. Make sure you want to cover things up because it's going to get messy in there. And again, this ain't going to be here for everybody, but again, we have a lot of mobile home people out there that, they got to work in the winter time and when it's raining. So again, they just got a little nozzle on there, just blowing. We're not really disc packing it. We're just blowing it until it feels like it's full. You can seal the holes with plastic plugs or one by furring strips. I'll get it out there. Instead of doing this, you could actually put a furring strip across or down to cover them up. People come up with some really good ways of doing it. So again, cover the client's belongings, check the integrity of the ceiling. You want to make sure that you get in some of these mobile homes, the ceilings are already starting to come down. So you want to make sure you secure them. Drill a series of holes evenly across the ceiling. Fill the cavity and then seal the holes with plastic plugs or furring strips. Or I know some of you guys have got some pretty crazy things out there that you do. So again, we're insulating the roof cavities, retractable, and it's cost effective. I know with the MIA audit, we're not doing as many as we used to. Insulating roof cavities can result in heating, cooling savings. Make sure you prepare the roof insulation by inspecting interior ceilings and avoid blowouts. Access roof cavities through the gable ends if you can, top or from the side or inside the house. So again, it's several different ways, and it's all going to depend on where you're at, what the situation is. Seal hole penetration to prevent future leaks, and that way the insulation doesn't fall down out of the holes. And have the right tools and materials on hand. Having the right tools and materials makes the job go a lot easier.
Yeah, and Jim, before we move on here and stuff, a couple points was brought up in chat and a question there and stuff. GH had a real good point there. Do not screw the patches into the trusses when you're patching that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And James Collier there from MyCap there wanted to know there about the ME audit actually allowing these costs on natural gas mobile homes. Probably not. Might be more of a chance up in your area, up around the Youngstown area, than down in southern Ohio, just because of the weather factor. But being we're using the national average on fuel and everything now, the weather factor and then your actual labor costs are going to be the two things that decide that. So this can be awful time consuming, time intensive and stuff. So, you know, to answer that question, it just depends on what your labor cost and everything's going to be in that, Jim. So.
And that's sort of what I was saying. You know, they're going with the average fuel cost now, which is helping a little bit. But what it comes down to a lot is the labor. You know, having the right tools, you have less labor. You got more cost in tools, but you know, we're not charging the tools to the job. With that scaffolding, you can do a lot quicker, believe me. And if you got the right tools to be able to clean the roof and stuff like that, it goes quicker. You might be able to justify it then, but you know,
Yeah, probably a lot more likely.
Different.
Probably a lot more likely to get it justified on an all-electric home or a fuel oil home.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll talk a few other mobile home majors here. But before we do that, let me talk about the. We kind of come up this morning when we was talking with Ryan, because he does a lot of mobile homes. Ryan Quarter down in Pike County. They were still putting just the 80 plus mobile home furnaces in, and he recommended that they go with the 90 plus furnaces. If you know you got the money, put the 90 plus furnaces in. Almost every manufacturer out there now makes a 90 or 95 plus furnace for mobile homes. That would probably be one of the most best advantages for any mobile home. And take it from a mobile home owner that had an 80 plus 72 furnace, they'll eat up the LP and natural gas. And then I was talking to him about the Mitsubishi has come out with a air handler that will fit in a mobile home, and using their mini split system, you can get up to almost a 32 SEER. So that might be a consideration down the road. And I've talked to him about maybe you know, coming down and finding a mobile home that we could do one to see how that turned out. And if anybody else out there wants to try to do something like that, let me know. These mini split systems can even be put in the mobile homes themselves. You can put 3 or 4 or 5, 6 heads in there. Just an option down the road. I'd like to see whether or not it would work out. These mini splits are really, really efficient now. All right, the old jealousy windows. Won't take long to go through this probably because we don't do a lot of work with windows anymore, but here's some of the stuff that we're going to be looking at anyway, because you know you may have to do it. The mobile home window and door terminology, methods for improving windows and doors, criteria and methods for replacing windows and doors, mobile home hot water tank features, safe and efficient operation of hot water tanks, criteria for replacing hot water tanks, and then common incidental repairs, moisture and indoor air quality. Door replacement is not cost effective unless units are beyond repair. There's a significant infiltration problem. When needed, replace doors with mobile home replacement types. In other words, I'm going to use Dave's term, Jim Bob. Jim Bob found him an old residential door and put it in there, and that's not what we need to do. They make a particular mobile home manufactured door. So if you got to replace it with the manufactured door. It'll go in there better, it'll seal up better. And if I'm not mistaken, unless that door is just about falling clear off, we pretty much can't justify it, can we, Jamie?
Possibly as an incidental measure, if you're doing the belly and you know water was leaking in or something to it like that and everything.
That's a good one.
But you know, most of the time, as just as a ECM measure on that MIA, no, it's probably not going to justify on that.
I know when, you know, again, I go back in the 80s, but we replaced every door we could and every window we could and put as many magnetic storms on we could. So again, if you're going to have to replace it, use a factory replacement exterior pre-hung single door unit. Door framing may have to be replaced. Remove the old door, install a new door per the manufacturer's instructions. Domestic hot water tank out access door. Use a factory replacement door if natural gas or propane fired, a louver door. Now here's something that it's always been a controversy. Now this is a access door to a water heater from the outside of the mobile home. In other words, you're outside looking at the door. Now this could be an electric water heater, it could be a gas-fired water heater. If it's electric, that door will be solid and you'll have to insulate. If it's gas-fired, the thing with gas-fired water heaters, if it's installed in an access that can be accessed to the outside, it doesn't have to be that one with the combustion air outlet. So it's going to have louvers on the actual door. So do not cover those louvers up if it's a gas-fired water heater. Repair broken glass. Now I know in the past, we used to take and actually screw these windows shut because they wouldn't shut. That's not really a good idea. If the windows aren't shutting, you could possibly replace the cranks. Screwing windows shut nowadays is not a good idea because you probably really don't know which one could be in an emergency access. Type windows, these cranks were one of the worst things ever. We used to replace a bunch of those. Just taping them shut like that. Jim Bob, he ain't getting it. It'll work for a little while. So if you have to replace it, you know, they do make factory replacement windows. So you want to remove the old window, install the replacement factory window. And use putty tape and the hex screws. Put the putty tape around, make sure you get around there before you put it back up on there. Electric hot water tanks, they're not much different, but, and you can see that's, here's the hot water inlet. Cold water, you see it goes down. All cold water always goes down to the bottom. These are the two heating elements. The dip tube, the anode rod's there, and the reason it's there is because water has so much calcium and crap in it that anode rod actually collects that to keep it from going through your pipes. I couldn't find a good picture of good install, but here's a gas water heater to the outside. And this is what we usually find. It's been leaking, or the plumbing leaks, and down at the floors actually rotted away, and the water heater's wanting to tip over. So we're going to need to take that out and repair that floor and put it back. Now this door, seeing as on the outside access, is going to have some louvers in it, so this has combustion air. And the rule of thumb is if you have access to the outside, it can be a regular atmospheric water heater with the louvers. If it's accessed from the inside of the house, it has to be the manufactured approved water heater that's a direct vent system. It takes air from underneath the mobile home through a pipe for combustion air. And again, here's some of the repairs that we may have to do. That would be some of them incidental repairs to keep the value of the material that you're putting in, so it won't go bad. Moisture problems. Yeah, almost every mobile home has moisture problems. Poor thermal characteristics, condensational metal siding, roofing, and windows. Poor exterior drainage. I don't think I've ever seen a mobile home that didn't have that. Lack of mechanical ventilation. Usually whenever we get there, the exhaust fans that are there don't work. Increased air tightness after weatherization. That's where we're going to have to check with the ASHRAE. Interior generated problems such as a client using an unvented kerosene space heater or humidifier. I don't know how many times we run across that. They're trying to use the kerosene heaters. They think that's cheaper than using the gas furnace. We've tried to talk them out of it, get their heating unit fixed for them, explain to them that they're going to have a much better system after we're done with it, and they're going to be able to afford to pay them gas bills. Lay down some ground barrier. And once again, the way we used to do it, we cut around the blocks. We wouldn't seal it. Now, you want to cut around them blocks. You want to seal this moisture barrier to the blocks. So that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create or keep that moisture from mitigating up and getting on to the underneath of the belly. Moisture and indoor air quality. Dryer vents must be vented in the outdoors, especially with the mobile homes. We always call it vent to daylight, not, in other words, it's got to come out from underneath that mobile home and out through the skirting to daylight. Replace inoperable exhaust fans. These usually never work when you get there. Look like they're kind of tearing up the kitchen stove there too. Hey, can we do a CO test on that stove? Some of the other measures, minor incidental repairs to protect the weatherization measures such as small floor or roof repairs. Standard base load measures such as refrigerator replacement, lighting upgrades. Low flow water devices such as aerators, shower heads. Again, with the window and door replacement, generally not cost effective. Still in some cases, we're going to have to replace them. Replace them with manufactured home stuff. Repair existing windows and doors instead of replacing whenever possible. And then domestic water improvements are an important health, safety, and energy efficiency measure. Be sure to access moisture and indoor air quality. And then make sure that all ventilation fans are operating, that clothes dryers are vented to the outdoors. So, have a great day and be safe. Questions and answers. This is just right down the street. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know where that is. All right, some questions there if you got them.
I don't see any coming through here, Jim. So,
Well, once again, I mean, if you're having any problems or anything like that, and you need some help with anything like that, just give us a shout out with an email. If anybody wants to try out, or if you haven't been putting the 95 plus furnace, mobile home furnaces in, want to help on that, give us a call. If you want to try it, mini split system, give us a call. We'll be more than glad to help out. It's always good to get out of the office and give people a hand.
Robert, do you have a question there? I noticed you're unmuted, so.
I just touched a button.
Okay. Let's see, Randy Mercer's got one. Does vapor barrier have to be sealed around the pillars?
Yes.
Yes. The answer to that is yes. So,
And the other problem is, if with the skirting, it has to be, you don't have to tuck it underneath that skirting J channel or seal it to that somehow. It's just like a crawl space. If it ain't sealed, moisture is going to creep up through the slat or cracks. I know in the old days we just went in there, cut around stuff, throwed it down, and off we went. And you come back and the bottom of the trailer and or crawl space had moisture in it. I mean, we took care of the problem, 90% of the problem, but sealing it takes care of 100% of the problem. I still see at least one telephone number in there. Again, if you're, if you signed up with a telephone and you wasn't able to get your name in there, please send Devin Cooper an email with your number and your name so you can get credit. And please, if you got a chance, fill out an evaluation.
Yeah, I just want to tell everybody there about Friday as well. Basically, Friday we're doing something a little bit different here. We're not actually going to be doing a technical training or anything here. Basically, we're going to want to get some questions and stuff there from you guys, what you've learned so far here in these few weeks of training that we've been doing with you, what you liked, what other types of training there that you'd be interested in, if so, there, and kind of help us better plan there to give you guys information that's relevant to what you guys are looking for on this. So maybe a couple days ahead there and everything to kind of think about some stuff there and everything, and come with your questions or suggestions or anything like that Friday.
Yeah, and then let us know if, I'm going to give you another email address here for some learning videos, webinars. And you can also let us know if any of those webinars done you any good. I know Dean Register said he, on the ASCO one, that he even was able to take and get BPI CEUs for that. So that'll help everybody out. So if you go to learning, that's LEARNING at danfloss, which is DANFLOSS.US, you should be able to get a few webinars from them.
And R.W. Beckett there has some free online training as well, videos and everything. And they actually have webinars on there as well that you might be able to sign up for. Looks like the webinars are about a half hour long each on that. And I believe those are free as well. I haven't signed up for any yet. I just got the email there yesterday about those. So I haven't really got the chance to check into that, but that might be another resource for you guys that deal with oil burners. Okay. Yeah, and Justin, I'll tell you what, when we send out the invite, if not today, for Thursday's presentation there and stuff, I'll try to include those links in that for everybody.
I tell you what, we'll give ourselves a reminder, Jamie. We'll go ahead and put all of them back up again.
Yeah, yeah.
Because most of them you can get some type of certificate or something saying that you took it, and I'm pretty sure most all of them, if you turn them into BPI, you're going to get some CEUs.
And I can personally seek for the backup ones there and stuff. I've been to some of the in-person trainings and everything. They're very good trainings. you know, and I'm sure there are webinars on here and everything's going to be too. So if you, you know, working on oil burners and stuff there, that's a great spot to go to grab up some information.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's a great way to get some CEUs.
Yeah.
I know we worked with R.W. Beckett when we first started down there, and they give us the props, that see-through burner and parts and stuff. Really good company, really good company.
And it's an Ohio-based company too, so that's even better.
And Jim, you definitely gave with the ESCO training, very beneficial. When you mentioned that earlier at some other point, and I went and started using that. You're right. That's definitely a great resource for a lot of really, really good training.
It's helped me out too, because you know, it's getting me some information on some expansion valves and stuff that I haven't been privy to for a while. So really good at, they're all good websites. And you can attest to R.W. Beckett. You went to that training. It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, once again, I hope everybody keeps safe. Hopefully we'll get back to work here pretty soon. Really appreciate everybody that signed up. Took a few minutes to listen.
Yep.
Who would have thought we was worried about wanting to go back to work?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when can I go back to work? Ah! Anybody got anything?
I don't see anything there, Jim. Everybody's just saying thanks and stay safe and stuff. So
I'm gonna go downstairs and get that windmill.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I muted my other conference and stuck around with y'all. It was very good and informative.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Guys, have a good one.
You too.
All right. You gonna sign us up at 12 or?
Yeah, we're good. Take a couple minutes break there and stuff there. So
I'm gonna need about 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'll get it scheduled here just as soon as I get logged off, and I'll log back on and take care of it. All right, everybody that's still on here, have a wonderful day and stay safe.
Yep.
See you guys in a few.
Great job, guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Amy. All right.